little Vlogmas family. Welcome back to the channel. Believe it or not, this is not gonna be a Tana remake of How to Beat Your Face Like a Pro. This is gonna be, people took a lot of my time this morning and I'm a little pissed off and I'm just trying to get some makeup on my face. So we're gonna go from ugly to beautiful in like 5 minutes tops. Do you ever just have days where like nothing goes according to plan and everything takes more time than you think it will? I feel like if you're a woman, you'll get this. You know, when you are like, this is what I need, this is like how this is going to happen successfully, and then people like just disregard that, and then when you freak out, it's like you're overreacting. You know what I mean? It's giving that vibe today. I need to like get back in a good headspace. Today, my mom and I are going to a small town here in Minnesota called Red Wing. You may recognize them from the shoe company. They have a pretty well-known boot company down in that small town. I think that's kind of what they're known for, why people move there. I could be totally wrong. But when I looked up things to do for the afternoon there was nothing. It was given bland. And I feel like the older that I get, the more, I don't know, like urban I become, which I think is the exact opposite of basically everybody else that I know. I feel like the older I get, my friends want to move out of cities, out of like towns, suburbia, the whole thing. And I'm like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do if we are in the countryside? What are we going to do if you move to a small town and they barely have a main street? I would apologize to the city of Red Wing because I'm basically calling them boring. But in my defense, your Chamber of Commerce and your City of Red Wing page on Instagram, it told me nothing. It told me absolutely zero information. It was like, you can walk and see a bluff. You can see like an overlook, scenic view. And I said, I didn't ask for a workout today. I asked for fun things to do in a small town. So if you're running that page and you would like some extra help, please, I beg of you, call me. I was gonna do my hair, but then I was like, for what reason? I'm going out, I'm like wearing long underwear. It's 2 degrees here in Minnesota. Let's just make it easy. Let's make it simple. Okay, so here's the plan for today. We are going to Red Wing, Minnesota. We're going for the holiday. There's like a lighting festival where I think they light the main street, and then they have a holiday light parade at 7:30. So we were just kind of looking for something fun to do for today that's not shopping and not like consumerism, because if you follow me on social media, you know where I stand on all that. But I just wanted something fun to do with my mom. So we're gonna go and we're gonna see what happens. And we're gonna turn this frown upside down, and we're gonna take the awful morning that I had and we're gonna make it a great afternoon. I saw this thing recently that talked about how if you chop your days up into quarters, that really helps you mentally like compartmentalize your emotions, because if you have a bad morning, it's like, okay, the first half was bad, but the last half of this day, let's make it good. Because I'm not someone who will sit around and make the environment awful for other people. I try to be really like upbeat and just let it go, because I don't like to make other people uncomfortable. But sometimes in that, I won't be real, and then I'll get mad that people can't read my mind when I'm upset. We're gonna go have a good afternoon, and the situation that happened this morning is over. And I just encourage you, if you're having a hard situation, I think especially in this time of year, this is such a good reminder, because it's like there's so much extended family time and there's so many things happening that I think all of us, our bandwidth is like this. And if we don't tell other people what we need, or if we don't stand up for our own boundaries, we can't get mad at people for not reading our minds. And if people disrespect our boundaries, or people disrespect the things that we clearly stated that we needed, then you reevaluate your time spent with them. Okay, this is not a therapy session. Let's go. I am back home. I just took a shower, but I didn't get all my makeup off, and I thought I would just finish the vlog here for today. Okay, so now going to a small town, I remembered why people like small towns. I feel like there were enough fun activities for their town and like the locals who live there who probably have little kids, but as an adult going, I wouldn't say there was a ton for adults to do. The other thing I noticed is that Red Wing is a lot more spread out than Stillwater is. So I think Stillwater, when we went there, everything was kind of on one main street, versus Red Wing seems to be spread onto like a couple of offshoots, and there is one main street, but then there's also like side streets that are very popular too. So the first thing I remember liking about a small town that I'd forgotten about is that parking is so easy there. Like there's always so many options, and truthfully for events like this especially, it's so easy to find parking because they don't really have rules. Like if you're in downtown Minneapolis, all the signs are so strict. Like I've had where they towed my car because the signage is so confusing, and I thought I had like been in a space where I could be in, and it just was very opportunistic to say the least. So I think I've had that a couple times in the cities where I'll get like a parking ticket, and I'm like, how in the world did I get this ticket? Because I'm reading this sign and interpreting it one way, and the cops or whoever are interpreting it another way. So I feel like a parking situation like that is so different because there are rules, but also people are just more understanding. The other thing I always notice in a more quaint, smaller town feel type of place is people are just generally friendlier. And it's interesting because a town like that is still about their business. Like they're still about Red Wing Shoe Company. People are working to make ends meet. Like same thing as people in a big city. I just feel like people in the big city are much more like business over everything, versus smaller towns like that are like, wait, but what about relationships and like work-life balance? And I feel like that exists a little bit more there. The other thing that always sticks out to me is the safety aspect of things. Sometimes the city can feel a little less friendly, a little less safe at times. I'm just doing moisturizer to finish this off. A lesson I've been learning very deeply in the last 6 months since quitting my job is that our money really does belong to the Lord, like first and foremost. And it's been really a difficult lesson, but it's been a very good lesson the last 6 months. If you had asked me 6 months ago, I would not have said that I was a greedy person, and I don't think I was, but I definitely idolized financial stability to an extent where it consumed my thoughts. And it's not that it doesn't now. I still think about money a lot, but I think God's really grown me to just trust that like money, there will always be bills to be paid, money will go, but also what is money to a God who owns everything? And that's so eye-opening when you're like, I'm stressed out because I don't see how I'm gonna make ends meet. And it's not that I don't worry anymore. I think as long as I am alive and human and on this earth, I'm gonna worry about different things. But it's just been so interesting having to trust someone other than yourself with your finances. And what's even more interesting is I've learned how little I can live with. I can be so minimalist if I have to be. And I've learned that when I lived in Amsterdam for a couple weeks and I lived out of a backpack and had really nothing. I've learned that as I've gone through whole weeks of having no income and having to still pay bills and still get groceries and still get gas. And I've also had to learn to live with little when I had a little bit of money and I had to decide to prioritize tithing, or I had to prioritize saving, or I had to prioritize, okay, this week I have this much money. Am I giving it to this thing, or am I going to skip out on that thing because I want to prioritize this other thing? Do you know what I mean? And there were some weeks where it was like, this week I really want to go out for coffee, so I'm not going to be able to afford a couple avocados. So I'm going to be eating rice and beans the whole week. And I feel like that's the side of like this entrepreneur working for yourself. I don't even like to call it girl boss because like truthfully, when you look at my life, I'm not the definition of girl boss. But I think that's the side of this non-corporate lifestyle that I don't see a lot is like, yeah, I don't answer to anybody, but I also eat rice and beans because that's all I can afford. Or it's like, yeah, I don't have to be under the leadership of corporate dinosaurs, but I also work 24/7 because I'm working on my own thing and there's nobody else to pick up pieces of that work. And it's just been so interesting growing in trust with God over my finances, really having a heart where it's like, if money's here, great. And if it's not, that's fine too. I know how to extend money better than I used to. And then it's also interesting that today I got the biggest paycheck I've had in 6 months. Now that I have that money back and I have this big paycheck, my mind is already in the mode of, okay, what do I need to prioritize now that I have money? Okay, I'm not going to go buy some wasteful thing on a Black Friday sale or a small business Saturday purchase, even though I'm such an advocate for small businesses or sustainable businesses. It's like, I'm not going to go buy something I don't need. And then my mind immediately went to, okay, I need to think about gifts. I need to think about rent. I need to think about tithing. I need to think about gas and groceries. Like, it's just interesting how when I had regular income all the time, very consistently, I would be like, oh yeah, it's no big deal if I buy this random thing. Or like an impulse buy, granted they were small purchases, were not even a thought in my mind. And now I'm like, how do I prioritize the money that I have? And what is the wisest way to stretch this money? So it's just been really interesting to go through that season and to have a day like today where it was, I could finally get those snow boots I wanted. Or when we went to Red Wing, I wasn't like, okay, if I get this coffee, then what do I have to give up this week? It's like, I've been so provided for abundantly in my perception because I've lived with such little that my perception of what I did today was like, wow, I didn't have to think about how every action I made and every purchase I made will affect me tomorrow. And that's just such like a freeing feeling to know that you'll be provided for and to also understand and kind of see yourself be more responsible with money and prioritize things maturely and accordingly. And maybe a lot of you can relate to that. I know I have a lot of friends who watch my channel who are like budgeting so crazy right now because of the season. And I just want to say, I think a lot of people portray content creation as this like money-making situation. And for those of us who are just starting out and really, you know, have our nose to the grind, it's tough and I resonate with you. And I also just think I have a lot of friends who have young kids and I want to give your mind some ease because although I don't have children, I just want to say there are so many things my parents did that were free activities that I genuinely enjoyed as a kid. And there were so many things that I don't remember if my parents did or did not do with me. And so I just want to alleviate your mind because I think a lot of my friends with young children are concerned that they can't give their kids this gift or this experience or they can't keep up with all these other parents. And I don't think your kids are expecting that. And I don't think your family, whether they're like children or other adults, I think we all understand, especially in the United States, I can't speak internationally, but in the United States, a lot of people are cutting back, a lot of people are budgeting, and it doesn't make you a cheap person. Like, you don't look cheap if you are able to stretch a dollar and still provide for your family. What you buy and what you spend does not reflect on who you are or the value of what you bring to the table. And I just feel like we all need that reminder that money is just a thing. And gifts are really awesome, but they're just things. And I've just seen that so clearly the last few months. And I think with this vlog being an earlier one in the series, I just want to remind you guys of that and kind of end on that note. I hope you guys are enjoying the vlogs. If you have ideas for other things that would be fun to see, other activities, let me know. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the next Vlogmas.